Welcome to Curious Minds Unmasked podcast, where we uncover the hidden wonders of the world.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. You know we love a good deep dive, and today we're taking you on a journey to the cutting edge of technology specifically, China's remarkable advancements in quantum computing and AI.
And what makes this so fascinating is that it's not just about the technology itself. We're talking about a nation pushing boundaries, aiming for self-sufficiency in a world where tech dominance is, let's face it, a big deal.
Absolutely. It's a story of ambition, innovation, and maybe a little bit of defying the odds, right?
You can say that.
So, where do we even begin? Let's start with quantum computing, shall we? One name kept popping up in my research, Origin Quantum. They've been making headlines, even ending up on that U.S. trade blacklist. What's the story there?
Yeah, Origin Quantum is a great example of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Being blacklisted is basically the U.S. saying, we see you as a potential competitor, not militarily, but in the tech arena. They're worried about Origin Quantum giving China an edge in this whole quantum computing game, which, let me tell you, is going to reshape the future.
Okay, so they're on the blacklist, yet they still managed to keep a 72-qubit quantum computing chip running for 9 months. I have to admit that sounds impressive, but I'm not entirely sure I grasped the significance. Can you break it down for us?
It's a big deal. Imagine trying to keep a bunch of spinning plates balanced, but these plates are incredibly sensitive. They need to be kept at extremely low temperatures, colder than outer space. And these guys kept them spinning for 9 months straight. That's reliability, which is a huge GE hurdle in quantum computing right now.
So it's like anyone can build a fancy quantum computer, but getting it to actually work consistently, that's the real challenge.
Exactly. And Origin Quantum is proving they're up to the task. But here's the thing. They're not stopping there. They have plans to build more of these superconducting quantum computers, which tells you they're playing the long game. They want to be major players in this global quantum race.
It almost sounds like they're sending a message. We're here to stay, and we're just getting started.
You know, I read that Origin Quantum started with 2 physicists, right? A passion project that's now at the forefront of this tech revolution.
It really speaks to their vision. But it also shows how serious China is about science and technology. They've been pouring resources into companies like Origin Quantum, recognizing their potential, and they're fostering a whole environment for this kind of innovation to flourish.
And it seems the world is paying attention, too. Their Origin Wukong computer, you know, the one with the 72-qubit chip, has users from over 130 countries, even the U.S., Japan, Canada. It's not just about national pride. It's about creating something the world wants to be a part of.
Definitely. When you have researchers and institutions from around the globe using your technology, that says something. It tells you that China is a force to be reckoned with in quantum computing, despite any geopolitical tension. Okay, so we've covered quantum computing. But what about artificial intelligence? Another article you sent me focused on China Telecom and these things called large language models, or LLMs. To be honest, I'm a bit lost on that one.
Sure, LLMs can sound complicated, but they're basically a type of AI designed to understand and generate human-like text. You probably interacted with one without even realizing it.
Really?
Think of something like, oh, I don't know, ChatGPT. That's an LLM in action.
So when I'm trying to get my Chaptin to understand my dinner order, that's an LLM on the other side.
Exactly. And China Telecom has developed 2 of these LLMs, but here's the kicker. They trained them entirely on chips they produce domestically. That's huge, especially with the U.S. trying to restrict China's access to those high-end chips needed for advanced AI.
So they're basically saying, we don't need you, we can do this ourselves. That's a bold move, especially in such a cutting-edge field.
It is, and they're backing it up with some serious tech. One of their models, Telechat 2 115B, has over 100 billion parameters. And they've got another one, I haven't even named it yet, but it's packing 1 trillion.
1 trillion. Okay, you're going to have to explain that one. What do these parameters even mean in this context?
Think of it like this. The more parameters, the more brain power. These parameters help the LLM understand the nuances of language, the way words connect, and that's how they generate such human-like text. It's a big deal for AI development.
So more parameters, smarter AI, got it. But how are they getting these numbers if they're facing restrictions on those high-end chips? It seems like a bit of a contradiction.
That's where the collaboration comes in. See, Huawei, another Chinese tech giant, they've stepped up to fill the gap. They've been developing their own AI chips, like the Ascend 910C, specifically designed to power these massive language models.
So it's a team effort. China Telecom builds the LLMs, Huawei provides the chips, and together they're creating their own path in the AI world.
Exactly. And it highlights this key strategy we're seeing from China, this drive for a self-sufficient tech ecosystem. They don't want to be reliant on anyone else, especially when those relationships can be so easily disrupted, you know?
It makes you wonder, is this the future of tech? Everyone for themselves. Speaking of self-reliance, remember that article about Origin Quantum developing a high-density microwave interconnect module? I have to be honest, that sounds like something straight out of Star Trek.
Right. It sounds incredibly complex, but it's actually a key part of making quantum computers work. Basically, it's like the nervous system of the whole operation.
The nervous system.
Yeah, it connects and controls all those qubits within the quantum computer, making sure everything's talking to each other. Think of it like the conductor of an orchestra, making sure all the instruments are in sync.
Ah, okay, I'm starting to get it. And they managed to develop this in-house too.
They did, which again points to that self-reliance. They're not just assembling parts, they're mastering the underlying technology. It's pretty impressive when you think about it.
It's like they're building the whole spaceship, from the engines to the navigation system, all on their own. We've covered a lot here. Quantum computers, AI, chip production. It's a lot to wrap your head around, even for us, and we're deep in it. So what's the takeaway? What's the big picture here?
Well, I think it's pretty clear China is a major player in the tech world now, and they're not just catching up. They're setting the pace, pushing boundaries, and challenging the old guard.
And they're doing it despite facing some pretty significant obstacles. You almost have to admire the determination, turning those trade restrictions into fuel for innovation.
It's like that saying, necessity is the mother of invention. But it also raises the question, what happens next? What does this mean for the future of innovation, for the world, for all of us?
It's like, is this the start of a tech Cold War, everyone building their own separate spheres? Or could it actually lead to something more, well, positive?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? It's tricky. On the one hand, you could see a kind of fragmentation, everyone retreating into their own tech corners. But then again, maybe, just maybe.
Maybe it pushes everyone forward, like a global competition that benefits everyone in the end.
Exactly. A bit of healthy competition never hurt anyone, right? Look at the space race back in the day. It wasn't just about getting to the moon first. It pushed technology in ways we're still reaping the benefits of today. Better materials, communication, computing power, all because of that race. This time, well, the stakes are even higher. We're talking about the future of entire industries, economies, even how we live our lives.
So less about winning and more about pushing the boundaries of what's possible. But what about collaboration? I mean, we talked about all those researchers from around the world using Origin Quantum's computers. Does that give you hope that even with all the competition, we can still work together?
It does. I think at the end of the day, the pursuit of knowledge, especially in these cutting-edge fields, it kind of transcends borders, Scientists, researchers, they're driven by curiosity, by a desire to understand the universe. And sometimes that means sharing ideas, collaborating, even with people you might be, well, competing with on other levels. But let's face it, the biggest breakthroughs, they often come from bringing together different perspectives, different ways of thinking.
Like they say, two heads are better than one, even if those heads are, thousands of miles apart. Plus, some problems are just too big for one country to tackle alone. I'm thinking climate change, pandemics. Those require global solutions.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe this competition is almost like a forcing mechanism, right? Pushing everyone to develop new technologies, new tools, and maybe those tools can then be used collaboratively to tackle those big existential threats we're facing. So in a way, the same drive to, outpace each other, it could also be what brings us together to build a better future for everyone.
Now, that's a thought-provoking idea. It's not just about who gets there first. It's about what we do with what we learn along the way.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to stay informed, to engage in these conversations. The future of technology, it's not some predetermined thing. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make, the conversations we have.
Before we wrap up, is there one key takeaway, something you really hope our listeners will walk away with today?
I think it's the future of technology. It's not something that just happens to us. We're all writing this story together, each and every one of us. So stay curious, keep asking questions, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to drive the next big breakthrough.
I love that. What a great note to end on. A huge thank you to you for taking this deep dive with me. I've learned so much.
The pleasure was all mine. Always enjoy our conversations.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of China's tech ambitions. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those big questions, and stay curious.